Welcome back. I have a new Android box in for review today. This is the TX95, just to show you briefly what you get included in the pack. Fairly standard here with the HDMI lead, remote and power adapter. A look at the front will show us we're running a newer version of Android 6.0. We have 4K support and H.265 support for the codec too. On the back gives us some information on the spec. This is a 2 gig RAM, 16 gig storage, running a quad-core A53 processor. We also have dual-band Wi-Fi included too. Look at the top of the box. This has a matte effect with some ventilation slots all around the case, which is quite nice to see. And on the right-hand side, there is a micro SD card slot tucked in there. On the back, the 2 USB ports, power in, HDMI out, Ethernet port and the digital, and on the underside we have 4 silicone pads. Now the remote is slightly different on this model. It's been cut down so that we don't have any number buttons, and we do have a digital mouse mode at the bottom. Unfortunately it's not an air mouse, but the remote's okay. It's a fairly decent model. Opening up the back, we have space for 2 AAA batteries. I slightly prefer the programmable remotes, but this one's okay for a standard one. At night, it's not too bright either. The LEDs, it goes from red to blue when it's powering on. The red shows in standby mode. Now we're going to boot up into the main menu screen. This one, again, is quite a simple look on it. I quite like it. It's not particularly flashy looking, but it's quite clear and clean. And at the bottom, you can add shortcuts to your own apps that you want, so it's customizable in that respect. You can't customize the top section, not really a problem because you have shortcuts for Kodi and things like that. Looking at the apps, not too many included with this, but we have some of the streaming ones there, and there is a user manual too, as well as a super user. This is pre-routed out of the box. Now moving into Kodi, there are quite a lot of streams added to this, including the music and on the videos. I'll just go in quickly to the videos to show you some more of those. Now if you like a box that's fully loaded, this is going to appeal to you. If not, I mean, it's up to yourself. You can always remove the streams. I personally don't mind if they have included, but as usual, not all of them work. Some of the streams aren't active, but most of them seem to work when I tried them. Also have an option with this box to power it off or reboot. Don't always see that on many of the Android boxes I've looked at. And the custom settings are quite different in look, but quite clean and easy to navigate through. Here we have some settings for the resolution. There's also a HDR, which you can leave on auto or manually set or turn off. Your other connections are pretty standard, like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Now if you go into the extra settings on this, it goes to the normal sort of larger icon shortcuts on this, and normally I wouldn't have to go any deeper than that because virtually all of the settings you need are there. Now if you go into the extra settings, you finally end up in the Android 6.0 look. You have a power setting there as well, you can adjust that. Now I wouldn't have to go into this very often, but it's included here. You do have some additional tools. You have a memory manager which tells you how much RAM you've been using. Storage is quite good on this. You've about 11.5 gigabytes left. I haven't overloaded it too much with apps. You can always expand it via the micro SD card. I was pleased to see that you do get a navigation bar as well, and there's a memory recycle tool. We'll just have a look at the navigation bar. You can hide that or bring it back. Not all of the boxes I've looked at have that. I find it useful, particularly if you're using a air mouse or remote. Now running the 3D benchmark now just to see how the box performs. And I got a pretty good result on this, definitely better than the entry-level boxes. In terms of the 3D performance, it's actually not quite as quick as the Q box. The newer S905X does have some advantages compared to that though. And running the processor test, this just tests the CPU and nothing else. And I came back with a score of just over 1700, so the Q box would give me, or an S905 chipset would give me about 100 extra on that. So really there isn't much difference in performance between these boxes. It would give you roughly a similar speed to our Nexus 5. Onto the Wi-Fi test, no problems at all with that. Good speeds, download and upload, pretty much in line with what I've been getting with other boxes. Haven't seen any issues at all with connections. Did note one thing, if you go back to the home screen, sometimes it misaligns on the icons. It's an animated effect, so there's a slight delay. Don't really mind, you get used to it. Wrapping up with the box, quite happy with this one. Good performance overall. Very similar in performance to the Q box, perhaps not quite as quick, but it does have some additional advantages, including extra codec support for 4K videos, and I found that it ran very well indeed. Didn't have any problems, and I quite like the styling and design of this, so it's certainly worthy of consideration.